What's the real reason so many of us are depressed nowadays? Now, you might say to me, well, Dr. Charles, look around. And yes, things are hard. Things have always been hard for people who aren't rich. But here's an inconvenient question for you. If that were only the case, well, we've had depression throughout history. Why is it then that we are seeing higher rates and higher degrees of intensity? For decades, we've been told that depression is caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain, usually by too little dopamine and serotonin. And, that's all nice, it's tidy, it's neat, and incredibly incomplete. Because serotonin and dopamine aren't just feel-good chemicals, they're metabolic regulators. They control sleep, appetite, energy use, pain sensitivity, and even our immune responses. Which means that when you try to manage them, like adjusting knobs on a soundboard, you're turning other knobs and dials on other systems. And yes, sometimes depression is caused by a distorted perception of reality, and adjusting our neurochemical levels can give us a little bit of a boost. But what's on the rise just isn't that type of depression. What's surging now is what I would call existential depression. And it's not because your brain is broken. In fact, it's happening because our brains are functioning exactly the way they should, given the context that we're living in. But is there anything that we can do about it? Stick around. To explain what I meant with that last statement, allow me to give a little bit of historical context. You see, throughout history, there have basically been two groups, the haves and the have-nots. And the tricky part is it's the haves that control the narrative. For most of human history, we've not lived in social democracies. As far as we know, the past couple hundred years is the first time we've ever really tried this experiment. And while we live in what some would call an age of abundance, blaming our depression on not appreciating enough of what we have is tantamount to victim blaming. Because when you pull back the curtain, you'll see a centuries-old strategy at play here that's amplifying. Let's break it down. Step 1, tell the have-nots that they're bad, and that's why they suffer. Step 2, say that the haves are good, and that's why they have the things they do. Step 3, promise hope. Work hard, fight those other people who are worse than you, and we'll think about giving you a slice of the cake. And step 4, keep the cake, while telling the have-nots to be grateful for crumbs. So let's talk just a little bit more about my cake metaphor. I'm saying that the haves game for centuries has been to convince the have-nots to make cake for them by dangling hope. The pattern usually goes like this. Split up the cake making process so no one sees the whole thing. Give the cake makers crumbs for their hard work while calling them entitled for wanting cake themselves. Then sell some of their cakes back to them at 10 times the cost and enjoy infinite cake without making any yourself. Now, this has been around for a while, but what's different now is that we are uploading digital cakes onto servers that they own. And why are we doing this? The same reasons as always, hope. And even more recently, AI has changed the math. It can make cakes way faster, better, and cheaper than we can by copying every cake ever made. Welcome to digital colonialism. Like colonizers who once took land, gold, and other resources, well, today's haves take your data, your creativity, and your mind and sell it back to you in overpriced little slices. Now, living in this system has conditioned us to prioritize the following things. Individualism, which leads to believing that your struggles are your own fault. Materialism, your worth and who you are equates to what you own. Tech fetishism, the belief that newer is always better. And future fixation, the belief to not look back, don't study the past, just move ahead as quickly as possible. So in order to not be depressed, this leaves us with essentially one of three options. Option 1, ignore reality. Option 2, lean into selfishness. Or option 3, fully commit to repairing the damage that comes along with living in service of psychopaths. Now, if you decide on the third option, offsetting the harm, which in my opinion, is the only real way to address this kind of existential depression that we're dealing with, then we're going to need to be honest with ourselves about a few things first. First, you have to care for yourself enough to stay functional. Because as the saying goes, altruism is expensive. Don't just focus on working more, and don't let yourself get duped into thinking that buying some new distraction is self-care. Focus on making sure your needs are met. Work on listening to your body, and once those needs are met, stop there every day. Next, you need to learn how to trust and figure out who you can trust. If someone lets you down, learn from that experience and move on. Figure out who you can share your financial burdens with, then divide and conquer. And if you're one of those people who can afford to live on your own, then great. But stop labeling everybody as bad, as narcissist, or whatever. And not that those people don't exist, but for the majority of us, people are just messy and we are pack animals. So learn how to give people space to do better. And then we need to make sure we focus on learning from history so we do not continue to repeat the same mistakes. And I know this isn't the easiest thing in the world, but you have to seek that information out. I'll link some resources for you to check out in the description below. Just be sure not to overwhelm yourself with too many choices. Just pick one and go with it for now. Also, while we're on this topic, practice humility. If you don't know something or understand something, don't be a charlatan and work on not just parroting opinions back that you've heard as if they're your own. I think we all need to realize that it's okay not to be the smartest person in the room sometimes. But what we need to make sure we're focusing on is prioritizing our mental and physical health over productivity. Make time for play. Play with friends, share stories, create together. And this goes for me too. Stop turning every potential play into a side hustle. And this next one, I'm sure is going to catch me some heat, but the truth is we need to work on treating our neighbors like family, even when the system pushes division. We need to stop letting others' shortcomings act as excuses for our own. And I cannot emphasize this last one enough. Build communities, because isolation is part of the control strategy. I don't care if it's your church or a coffee shop, just get out there. Set aside time to put down your phones and strike up conversations. If you're depressed, maybe the real reason isn't just chemical or distorted realities. Maybe it's because deep down you sense that the game is rigged and we're just tired of pretending otherwise. But here's the thing, to an extent, once you see the game, you could decide to stop playing by their rules. And while it doesn't fix everything, sure, that's the real space where healing can begin. And because we have to continue living on in these systems, we have to recognize that recovery will be anything but a linear process. So be patient with yourself, expect ups and downs, and don't lose focus. If you found this video helpful, please let me know in the comments below and share it with somebody who you think might also need to hear this message. I'm Dr. Charles. As always, stay safe and take care of each other out there, and we'll see you at the next check-in.